Good afternoon. In this video, we are going to look back into the construction of cladograms based on molecular data using UPGMA. This video would hopefully help you work out your first alternative activity. UPGMA is a fast, simple, and easy process. Always remember that you have to align your sequences first. Going back to the dataset that we have, the first thing we do is identify the differences between a mouse, a rat, a human, a pig, a dog, a chicken, and a frog. So we already have this differences matrix. From here, we are going to start constructing the cladogram. First, let us look for the organisms with the least differences. For our dataset, it is the mouse and the rat, and the human and the pig. Once we are able to identify this, then we will be putting these organisms into clusters. So we now have a cluster for a mouse and a rat, and that for a human and a pig. So the mouse and the rat are sister groups, and the human and the pig are also sister taxa. After which, we are going to look at the differences between the mouse-rat cluster, the human-pig cluster, and the dog, the chicken, and the frog. So the question that we are going to answer is, to which cluster is the dog more closely related to? In this case, we have the human and the pig as the closest relative of the dog, since the amino acid difference is only 1. But how did we get 1 as a value? So if we go back to the previous matrix, you would now see that the difference between a mouse and a dog is 2, and the rat and a dog is also 2. So we add these differences, so 2 plus 2 would give us an average of 2. Whereas, for the human and dog, the difference is 1, and between the pig and the dog is also 1, so the average is 1. And that is the reason why we have the values 2 for mouse, rat, and dog, and 1 for the cluster human-pig and that of a dog. Therefore, we'll be putting the dog closer to the cluster of humans and pigs than to that of the mouse and rat. Now the next question is the mouse and rat closer to humans, dogs, and pigs, or is the mouse and rat closer to chickens? In this work matrix, we have the value 2.5 for the difference between the mouse and rat cluster and the human-pig-dog cluster. But how did we get the value 2.5? If we go back to the previous matrix, the difference between a mouse and a rat and that of a human and a pig is 3, whereas the difference between a mouse and a rat and dog is 2. So once we add these two differences, 3 plus 2 will give us a value of 2.5. Now the difference between a human, pig, dog, and chicken is 4.5. How did we get this value? If we go back to the previous matrix, you now have the difference between a human, pig, and chicken identified as 4, and the value of difference between a dog and a chicken is 5. If we get the average of 4 and 5, that will yield 4.5. So from this matrix, we can now see that the least difference would belong to that of a mouse and a rat, and that of a human, pig, and dog. That value is 2.5. We would therefore cluster together the mouse, the rat, the human, the pig, and the dog under this partial phylogenetic tree. Now, we would be reworking the matrix. So we would be clustering the mouse, the rat, the human, pig, and dog together, and we would identify to which is it closer, to the chicken or to the frog. So here are the values. The difference of the cluster with that of a chicken is 4.75, and for that of a frog is 6.25. Where did we get these values? If we go back to the matrix, the difference between the mouse, rat, and chicken is 5, whereas the difference between a mouse, pig, and dog is 4.5. This will give us 9.5 as the sum, or an average of 4.75. The difference between a mouse, rat, and chicken is 5, whereas the human, pig, dog is 4.5. This will give us a value of 9.5 as a sum, divided by 2, that will give us 4.75. Whereas for the frog, the difference values would be 7 and 5.5. This will give us a value of 12.5 or 6.25 as the average. So we can therefore conclude that the cluster mouse, rat, humans, pig, and dog are closer to the chickens compared to that of a frog, whereas the difference between the cluster and the frog would be 6.25. So we could therefore put the chicken much closer to the mouse, rat, human, pig, dog cluster, and the frog would serve as an outgroup. I hope this video would help you out in finalizing your answers for alternative activity number 1.